Welcome back to Talking Sense. It's Sunday, it's time. Sunday sample, let's go. Sunday, it's time for Sunday sample. I've been really looking forward to it this week actually. I've spent most of this week wearing monocle, Comme des Garçons monocle Sugi, which I really like, but it's, I just feel like something different, but because of the weather I've just kind of been sticking with that just all week. Love it to pieces, it's one of my favourite perfumes, but time for something different, so let's give a sample and see what we're going to get. The weather, I don't really care, I'm not doing much today, so I don't really care if it doesn't match the weather. It's kind of a good day for it because it's one of those nothing days. It's not too hot, it's not too cold, bit drizzly, bit crap. So pretty much anything's going to suit. So yeah, whatever comes out, I guess. Let's have a look. Mon Guerlain by Guerlains. So yeah, I don't actually know this. I think it's a feminine Guerlain. Can't smell anything in there, but Mon Guerlain, I'm pretty sure that's feminine. That's a marketed towards women. If I'm right, is this the one that they did the documentary on, and this was what, like, the Guerlain that they were kind of aiming to be sort of towards younger girls to try and rope them into kind of the world of Guerlain. I can't remember it, but anyway, I know it's it's Guerlain. Let's give it a go, see what happens. I know nothing about this. Oh my gosh, come on, son. Right, that'll do. Okay, yeah, so it's definitely feminine. But it's actually quite nice. It's not that feminine. I don't know. Now it is actually quite feminine. When you first spray it, it doesn't feel that feminine. It feels kind of like neutral, but quite quickly, within like seconds, gets a little powdery. It's a strong lavender in there. It's almost like a gently powdery lavender and vanilla, I would say. It's not that floral. I don't, like I say, I don't really know much about this, but I got the impression that it would probably be quite floral. But it's not that floral. So it has definitely got florals in there. There's some jasmine, perhaps, but it feels to me like a kind of, the lavender is up front, and then there's perhaps like a powdery iris and jasmine in the sort of below that, but they're quite a bit below. The lavender is up front and center, and with the jasmine kind of coming in below with the vanilla, and then in between that you've got like a kind of gently powdered iris. I would say that's kind of almost like the structure so far. It's like right on the top you've got lavender, and then a gently powdery iris, and then underneath those you've got a kind of jasmine and a vanilla. That to me is like how I'm smelling it. Smells quite classic in a way. I think this is new, isn't it? It might not be, but it smells very much like a kind of classic kind of fragrance. Quite a classical, feminine, floral, really. There's nothing sort of unusual or different in there. It's fine. It smells okay. I do think it will possibly open up more. This opening to me is not very interesting or good, really. I'll give it marks for the lavender. The lavender is nice. Lavender's a funny one, isn't it? It's one of those, so often it's done kind of badly and kind of rank. I don't there's not many perfumes that I've smelled lavender in that I've really enjoyed. My top still is Fève de Lis by or Fève de Lis or whatever it's called by Christian Dior Privé. I really like the lavender in that. I think that's my kind of top lavender sort of note in any lavender scent or scent with lavender, but it's not kind of approaching that level, but it's done really well. It's quite fresh and it's sort of gently herbal, but it's not too green or herbal. It's definitely sort of has those facets, but it's definitely kind of banking on the floral side of it. But otherwise, it's quite nice. There is definitely some white florals in there. I say there's some jasmine that starting to feel a little kind of like watery white florals in the middle now, and they're kind of, I would say, progressing a bit more than the vanilla, because at first it kind of came up with the vanilla, but I can feel it kind of, the vanilla's maybe sort of stopped at a point, and the white florals are still coming in and kind of blooming a little bit. But they feel quite watery and quite relaxed. They're not sort of like, whoa, heavy and overpowering at all. That kind of powdery iris, that seems to have sort of not disappeared, but it feels to me like it's got buried a little more. But no, like the white florals are kind of taking over, basically. But the vanilla's still there. And it gives it like just a slight sort of, I mean, you wouldn't call it a gourmand, but it gives it a slight kind of gourmand edge, you know, because it's too floral to be like a proper gourmand, but it's definitely there, and it's definitely it's quite sort of milky vanilla, quite not cloying at all. It feels like a kind of creamy milky vanilla, something that you would smell in a gourmand. But I say in this fragrance with the florals are kind of, you know, move it away from gourmand. But just that vanilla to me feels like it's something that you would feel in a gourmand fragrance, because say it's milky, it's creamy, it's soft, it's not overly cloying or sweet. It's more like a smooth sort of gourmandy, creamy sort of vanilla. It feels very tight, I guess. Like it's there's no kind of like floppy edges. Like it's definitely kind of homing in on what it wants to do, and it's doing that to quite a high level. So yeah, I'll kind of leave that and see how it progresses. I think it will progress a little. I've got a feeling this one's going to go places. So we'll see. Say at the moment, it's quite a nice kind of lavender, slightly herbal, with some white florals that are slightly watery underneath that. Slight powdery iris that's kind of got buried behind those white florals now. And a kind of sort of gourmand feeling vanilla underneath it all, but that's very soft. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. I'll wear it for the rest of the day and see how it goes. It's very clean at the moment. It's very, it's very refined and classy and sort of pleasing. Wouldn't turn off anyone. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. So being Guerlain, I kind of have faith that it'll kind of produce something a bit more as it goes on, but we'll see. Maybe it won't. So yeah, nice one. I'll pop back later and let you know how I feel about it. Cheers. So Mon Guerlain, yeah, wore it all day and it was alright. I liked it. Probably got a bit more to say on it than that, but yeah, it was alright. So came out in 2017, so it's quite a modern Guerlain, since Terry Vassar took over. And I think I'm pretty sure this is the one that I remember seeing a documentary about. So anyway, the notes are in top lavender and bergamot. Bergamot, I've got something to say about that in a minute. In the middle, jasmine, iris and rose, and in the base, vanilla, sandalwood, tonka, coumarin and patchouli. So the Tonquin and Cormoran, I guess that's probably why it felt a little bit gourmandish rather than kind of like big, kind of chunky vanilla. But the bergamot. So pretty much after I sprayed it and I left, I kind of totted off to go and do some other things. The bergamot started coming out quite strongly. It's quite surprised because normally, you'd think you'd get the bergamot straight off the top, right? But in this, it came sort of about 5-10 minutes in, and actually I really liked it. It gave it something like a different dimension because it was getting a little bit like, okay, this is just a flowery kind of floral, and then the bergamot kind of came out and it kind of livened up that lavender again. It kind of, you could really feel the kind of the lavender and the bergamot kind of separating it and bringing it up a little bit and giving it just something a little bit interesting, I guess. But that said, still didn't really think it was like super interesting. Two perfumes that it really reminded me of the whole time I was wearing it was Black Opium, Yves Saint Laurent Black Opium, and Victor and Rolf Flower Bomb. But I would say it's much more airy and lighter than both of those fragrances, and it felt like a more kind of youthful, kind of sort of innocent version of Black Opium and Flower Bomb. Is not listed, but I'm pretty sure there's a peony in here that smelled to me like a little peony, and I think that like it just goes and plays alongside the jasmine, and it keeps that jasmine from getting a little bit too saucy, and it keeps the whole thing feeling quite sort of youthful and innocent. And I think it really straddles that line quite well between like youthful and mature. It never gets like too heavy and cloying, and that keeps it kind of like a little bit more mature rather than just being like flowers, vanilla, 12-year-old girls. Yeah, it makes it feel a little bit more kind of mature than that. And then obviously the lavender as well goes some way to doing that as well, giving it a kind of a bit of a herbal green lavender in there, but with the bergamot. But at the same time, with those kind of like the peony and the kind of lightness of the florals, it feels quite youthful as well, which means I think that this perfume quite comes off well for a younger girl who was looking to wear something slightly more mature, and also like a more mature woman who wanted to wear something that was a little bit sort of youthful. I think it straddles that line really well. Basically, I think it has to be said that it is nothing innovative, it's nothing new, and it smells very much like a mass appealing moneymaker for Guerlain. Like it feels like the brief was create a perfume that is gonna hit as many people as possible. There's nothing sort of like, there's no like Shalimar or Jicky vibes in here. This is pretty much like, if you're looking for a really straightforward floral that's feminine and refined and relatively classy, then this does it really well. And it's really nicely balanced between like the flowers and the vanilla and the kind of herbal lavender with the bergamot. I think it balances those three really well. There are a lot of notes in this which kind of you'll find in other Guerlains, like the vanilla. The way they've done the vanilla in this is very like Guerlain-esque, I guess you would say, and things like that. The lavender as well is it's a very kind of like French kind of twist on things, I guess, and that kind of restrained kind of classical French vibe. So I definitely can see this as being like, hey, to women who perhaps have like a few perfumes and they kind of want to experiment outside of that, and they come across Guerlain and they think, what's this? I can see it being like a mass appealer that would then kind of make them interested in what else Guerlain has to offer, which are obviously far more interesting fragrances than this one. But yeah, not to sort of shit on it. It's a nice fragrance that's done really well. I would enjoy being around someone who was wearing this. It's very nice. Longevity and such, beast, really good. Like, I've been wearing it all day and it's still going quite strong. And yeah, the vanilla in it is really nice. And I just think it's balanced really well. I think it's a really great perfume, but it's just boring as all hell. So, like, you know, it's yeah, you know, not for me, probably not for you, but a great fragrance. It is what it is, really. I can definitely see it doing well for Guerlain, and like I say, being perhaps like a bit of a gateway to some of their other things. Yeah, because I mean, it's definitely got a kind of Guerlain stamp on it, and yeah, I can see people sort of thinking, oh, that's nice, what else do they do? So yeah, that's kind of that, and I think, to be honest, that's probably the point of this perfume. So yeah, that's kind of that. Mon Guerlain. Cheers, Terry. It's alright. Not going to kind of wear it again, ever. But yeah, not bad. Nice one. Cheers.